The idea of the inner critic is a form of self-talk, but it's more like shaming yourself. It comes in several different forms, but I'm going to talk about the overthinker. I'm Hannah, and welcome to the Reflection Room. This type of inner critic may sound like caution, protection, or responsibility, but it's actually deeply rooted in fear. It will get you trapped in the mental loops asking, what if I said the wrong thing? What if I make the wrong decision? Or if I don't consider every single outcome, something bad will happen. The overthinker is like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you toast bread. It's trying to keep you safe, but it's exhausting when you can't tell the difference between burnt toast and real fire. So if you identify with this type of mental exhaustion from overthinking, here's a couple of things I'd suggest you try. First, give it a name. It helps to externalize the problem instead of making it part of your identity. So once you catch yourself falling into that pattern of rumination, analyzing a situation, you can stop yourself and say, oh, that's just Reginald talking, or whatever name you want to use. It separates your healthy inner dialogue from the harmful inner critic that's been taking you over. And then a huge part of healing the overthinker is self-compassion. Showing yourself that it's okay to make mistakes will reduce the fuel that keeps the overthinker going. So the next time you feel like you've made a mistake or said the wrong thing, just take a deep breath and notice how you can provide grace for yourself just as you would for one of your closest friends.
Have you ever said yes to something that you really didn't want to do just to kind of avoid disappointing someone or any kind of confrontation? And today's voice is the people pleaser. So this is the part that constantly says yes, even though every part of us is quietly whispering no. The people pleaser often believes that love, safety, and acceptance must be earned through self-sacrifice, and it kind of whispers, if they're happy, then I'm safe. This pattern doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's something that we often learn. And maybe growing up, being agreeable or helpful often kept the peace, or maybe love felt conditional, something that you kind of had to work for. Over time, saying yes became a way to kind of protect yourself or to avoid conflict. The problem is that constantly saying yes to others means that you're often saying no to yourself, and this can really lead to some burnout, resentment, and a loss of who you truly are and your own identity. This is where boundaries come in, and boundaries are a really beautiful way to kind of put yourself first. So boundaries are not selfish, it's self-respect. And I say this a lot to clients, and setting boundaries at first feels very foreign and feels different, but it is so worth it once you begin to. One of my favorite quotes on boundaries is from Prentice Hemphill, and she says that boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. And I think that this really beautifully encapsulates what it means to set a boundary, and it's not selfish. It's a way for you to love yourself and love the others around you, to fill your cup. Because at the end of the day, if your cup isn't full, how are you going to pour into others? And I'm sure you've heard that analogy before, but it is really true.
Have you ever wondered why it's easier to show compassion to others than yourself? I'm talking about that clingy friend of ours that many of us share, the inner critic. So let's take a moment to notice the voice in your head, the one that sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly says, you're not good enough. Now, maybe it shows up when you make a mistake or when you catch your own reflection in the mirror, or even when you're about to try something new. This voice tends to focus on what went wrong. It can be quick to judge, to criticize, and sometimes it feels like it's just woven into the fabric of who you are. But here's something important. This inner critic didn't come out of nowhere. Most of the time, this part of you is actually trying to keep you safe. Maybe somewhere in your past, judging yourself felt protective, like it could prevent you from failing or from getting hurt by others, or maybe even pointing out a weakness in you before somebody else pointed it out first. The intention behind it is safety, but the tool it uses, self-criticism or maybe even judgment, often backfires. So here's an action you can take. The next time this critic speaks up, I want you to pause and gently acknowledge it. So you can try saying something like this. I thank you for your concern, but I'm not going to listen to that right now. So You don't have to fight it, or you don't have to, you know, aggressively push it away. You just have to acknowledge it, and then you just move forward.
Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, if I don't do it perfectly, it's not worth it to do it at all? Or I can rest once everything is done and done right. That's the voice of the head of a perfectionist. Isn't just about having high standards. It's driven by a fear of making even a single mistake, or just disappointing others, or not being enough. That inner dialogue often starts in early life, maybe from being praised only when achieved something, or feeling loved just by approval, or that you have earned that approval. Every time we internalize the belief that if we could just do everything perfectly, then we will finally get a prize, or we finally will be safe, accepted, or in control. But there is one truth: perfectionism is an illusion. No matter how hard we try to finish or go to the finish line, we always move a little bit further in the constant chase that we can lead to procrastination, burnout, or self criticism. Because when we set an impossible standard, anything less than perfect just feels like a failure. The person that is a perfectionist, or you that is a perfectionist, should learn a rule that is called the 80%. And that's aiming for 80% instead of 100 perfection that is impossible. It might be not enough. So get things done moving forward and protect your peace with that 80%. Eliminate that extra 20% that is stressing, and it just drains your energy and joy.